In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. The letter Paul to the Hebrews talks about how important that this body is, and that it should never be used for sinful sexual acts. Very important, we need to be reminded of that. With the horrible pornography that is just everywhere, and then the sexual sins that come from it. In the Gospel according to Matthew, we hear that you can judge a tree by its fruits. Just talking to someone yesterday, and he says, so confusing. You say, don't judge. I go, that is wrong. And actually, it's from the devil today. Don't judge. Don't judge. That's how everybody, okay, they want to have homosexual relations, don't judge them. They want to live together before they're married, don't judge them. They want to have an abortion, don't judge them. No. We need to judge. It's serious what Jesus is saying. Look at the fruits of the tree to see whether it's good or bad. So if people are doing immoral things, they are a bad tree. Period. You can see it. What you don't want to do in judging is when you're not sure. It's like, well, that guy and that girl, they're hanging out a lot together, and I don't know what they're doing when we're not around. Judging that maybe they're having immoral relations. But that's wrong. You judge when we don't know the facts. When we know the facts, we judge it as sin. Sin is sin no matter what. And we need to judge it. And I'm old enough where before it was a terrible thing to live together before you're married. That was a scandal. You remember that, or a few of you do. Now everybody lives together. They just have kids with this one and move to another one, and everyone just accepts it. This is just normal. And how did we get that? Hey, don't judge them. Don't judge them. We love you as you are. Do what you want. But now I want to go to the church. So I went to Rome for the Sacred Liturgy International Conference. I was there for 4 days with them. I was there for 10 days. And the wonderful news for you all that do love tradition and the Holy Latin Mass, Trinity Mass, there, even though these people are not celebrating, a lot of them, the Holy Trinity Mass, everywhere in Rome you see caskets. Everywhere. Just amazing. I was just like, wow. And who wore the cassock most? Young priests. Everywhere they were young. The old priest, they didn't. Some of them did. Most of them didn't. And they were grouchy. So we look at the fruits. The young people, I would say, they were friendly. They were loving. The other one, the bishops, a lot of bishops there, were better than you. You traditionalist. Where's the love? I didn't look. You modernist. I loved them, smiled at them. But the love that was amongst them. I took my Capello Romano because it's hot over there. And the last time I was there, 3 years ago, all of those old white hats that the Muslims sell. All the people on the street selling these are all Muslims. Anyway, so I bought one of them, and I thought, well, it's going to be hot. I'm going to take my Capello Romano over there, because that's what it's for, the shade, and it's hot. And then I had a friend with me. He's Father Carney. He's from Kansas, and he's given up his parish because he was a pastor. He doesn't want to do the Novus Ordo Mass anymore, and he wants to join an order that's purely Tridentine. And anyway, so the first thing we did was bought him Capello Romano. Well, he and I, because that was one thing, everybody had caskets, but they didn't have that Capello Romano. Everybody wanted to take pictures with us. They're smiling at us on the buses. They go, how wonderful to see a priest wearing colors. I can speak some Italian. And it was just like something else. It was amazing what tradition can do. It really is. In the Vatican side, even when we didn't have our hat, all of you want to take pictures with us. Also, even priests. I met a wonderful priest from San Francisco, and he's just been ordained a year because Archbishop Cordileone and Archbishop Sample received their pallium on the 29th of June. That's St. Peter, St. Paul's feast day, my feast day. I'm Father Peter Carota. Anyway, so we were with them. But anyway, so we met. This priest came up and said, "Father, can I borrow your hat?" And I said, I never met him. Sure. So I let it because he wanted to take a picture. He's friends with my hat on. Anyway, we find out that he was from San Francisco, and that there was a young man and a young woman with him who are in charge of the Latin Mass in San Francisco. And here, we just meet them that way. And then they invited us to this reception, so I know Archbishop Cordileone, and I got to go congratulate him. Of all the speakers at the conference, the greatest, most hopeful one was Archbishop Sample from Portland, Oregon. He moved out from Marquette to Portland, Oregon. But one thing that they still, in the whole conference, it still was, the main thing was, you do the Novus Ordo, you do the Trinity Mass well. Keep it sacred, don't talk a lot, let God work. That was basically their message. But Archbishop Sample went beyond and said, by me doing the Trinity Mass, it has changed who I am as a person, as a bishop. And he said, I am going to require all my priests and seminarians to know it, that they grow spiritually from the Trinity Mass. And he was just so encouraging. So then at this reception at the North American College, I went up to him and just told him that really his talk was the one that encouraged us most. But very interesting in the conference was, and a lot of people think like I do, there was no opportunity to bring up problems like parts of the documents of Vatican II. They say, well, how come this one says this and that one says that? And I raised that issue one day, and a lot of people came up afterwards, good job, Father. And then this wonderful woman who's from England, she teaches at the Angelicum University, that's the Dominican University in Rome. She goes, oh, when can we just discuss the problems? So we look at our church and the fruits. Look at the fruits after Vatican II. Total, should we say, just an exodus of people out of the church since Vatican II. Every church has a different kind of mass all over. So many young people have left. So much confusion. And it says, Jesus says, wolves dressed up as sheep. That can be us priests, or it can be bishops. And what are they doing? Are they bringing the church together? Are they unifying the church? Is their life? Again, a good tree is full of life and fruits. And I see in the traditional world a lot of fruits. Like Ricky here, he's a seminarian with the fraternity of St. Peter, and I was back there in December, and it's full of young men who want to be priests. You go to other seminaries, some of them full, but they're all middle-aged men, right? Young men. They're all like their second vocation or something like that. I went to visit these nuns in Missouri, and it was full. That convent was full, Benedictines, of young, like 18-year-old young women, 19, 20. The Mother Superior is only 35 years old. What an encouragement. Everywhere. And then again, go back to Rome. All over the streets of Rome were young priests in the castles. And then I went to Santa Trinity dei Pellegrini. That's for the fraternity of St. Peter has their parish wasn't far from where I was staying on the last week ago today, and I went there to visit. Some friends were over to meet there, and then in comes one young priest, and he comes in and kneels down, he's praying in Catholic, and after I said, "Where are you from?" "Oh, Louisiana, from New Orleans." "Wow, what?" And then later I'm leaving, and two more young priests that I met from the conference were also very young, and one was from upper state New York. He'd just been ordained 2 weeks earlier, and these guys love the Trinity Mass. So there's a great hope, and there's fruit, and there's life. Now, sad to say, I didn't know in time. I feel really disturbed because I was in Mexico too for 3 weeks, but didn't really do anything for the Latin Mass. And but just on Friday and Saturday, they had a conference for Mexico, and it was sponsored by Univoce and the Fraternity of St. Peter in Guadalajara. And this one, though, was not about the Novus Ordo and the Trinity, but purely on the Trinity thing, on the spirituality and on all the different aspects. And I really wish I had been at that conference, and I found out too late to be able to go down there. But hopefully next year I will. We are very blessed to know what we're involved in. This morning, sad to say, because I really, and I know this may upset some people, but after all my experience of doing Spanish Mass, English Mass, and the Trinity Mass, I just want to do the Trinity Mass. But I did the 6:30 Mass this morning to help Father Sands, and afterwards there were some people outside. I went and greeted, and they loved how I said the Holy Mass, and what I said in my homily. I go, well, I really want to just do the Latin Mass. "Oh, I can't stand that because you can't understand." Then we talked about love and understanding and unity and coming, and they really did open up their hearts. So it's interesting what we can do, and again, I think it's really important that we be loving. And Father Carney and myself, walking all over the streets of Rome or on the buses or anything, we'd smile. And in Rome they say, "Salve," like "Salve Regina," and all the people say that, "Salve, salve." I always say, "Salve." I'm an introvert. I do not like meeting people. But that's my job, to love people, to reach out. And then I'm so blessed I get to meet so many wonderful people. And you be loving, so much love comes back. So our traditional spirituality should help us to love Jesus so much. And then one of the fruits will be more love. In our homes, in our marriages, in our parishes. We really do need to show more love. Smile. And then I, like with my Capella Romano, I walk across from the rectory over to the church and back and to hear confessions or whatever. And then yesterday, like just walking down the street, 2 cars bumped their horn. Just because I'm wearing there's people driving by. Because I got this Capella Romano. Oh, I can wait. There's a lot of things you can do, just in different ways. You women wearing your veil. People go, "Wow, I like that." Well, maybe they'll put you down. "What's that for?" But most people go, "That's pretty." And that's a time you can go, "Wow, I just love Jesus." And this is what I told the people this morning that were critical of the Latin Mass. I go, "You know why I love it? I really love Jesus in the Holy Eucharist. And it takes such good care of Jesus." How can you fight that? And did that open their minds a little bit? Last night too, after went over to help, I went over after the 5:30 last night, Mass to see how they do the Novus Ordo Mass, and then there were some ladies out in front, and one lady, and she goes, "I was there, I lived through that. That was terrible, the Latin Mass." And they go, "I was there too, I understand what you're saying." But again, then I just said it in a simple little way. But she said, I loved the Mass tonight. It was so reverent. I said, do you know why it was so reverent? This is the 5:30 notice. Because Father Science loves the Latin Mass, and he brings some of those elements in. And so we gotta keep dialoguing in love with people and not looking down on them, and being patient, but above all praying. And we'll see the fruits, and we'll see beautiful fruits. But hopefully today, by receiving the Holy Eucharist, it'll give you fruits, fruits that will help you to be happier people, to be more loving, to be stronger, to handle all the problems that you have to deal with every day. We really want to have faith that in receiving Jesus' body and blood, that he really gives us fruits, spiritual fruits, but also fruits that help us in